enjoyed that. That was a piece I called The Grove, which I just finished writing this past month and actually recorded this past Sunday at the U of H. It was 4 musicians in a studio, like a grove of trees, hence the name, creating melodies and sharing a passion for music. For me, The Grove represents more than just another adventure in my musical career. It marks a milestone, a culmination of all the musical knowledge that I've acquired up to this point, and all of my highlights of my experiences as a young composer. But music has become a sort of guiding philosophy in my life. It gives expression to what I cannot easily express in words: feelings, solitude, empathy. It's my third language. It's a sort of universal language, a kind of Esperanto. And it tells so much about the people who write it. A musical piece is like a short story. But yet it's in a continual state of transformation. It's always pushing forward with new blends, new beats, new sounds. And it's like something that's made but never finished, never closed. So sitting at the piano might seem like a very solitary experience. But when I sit down and start playing, I feel like I'm creating a conversation with the composer, with the keys, and with the harmonies. And when there's an audience, I try to communicate that message to everybody who's sitting out there, try to communicate that conversation. So when I play Chopin, for example, do you hear it? Do you hear the passion and intensity that Chopin is trying to communicate? I do. This has always been a very moving piece for me. Or maybe when I felt strong feelings for someone. This is what it might sound like in my own writing. So jazz opened up a whole new world to me. It gave me a chance to create harmonies that reflect how I feel. And with jazz, the conversation is always fresh and it's always changing. It's not about interpretation or imitation like it is in classical music. You know, you hear about those people who are famous for their imitations. But in jazz, the theme of a jazz tune becomes the topic of conversation. And jazz musicians often have some very interesting things to say on a topic. However, you can't just play any note in a quarter scale and become an improvisation expert. You have to create a voice. You have to create a melody line that is understandable and hopefully memorable. You have to start simple and expand. You have to justify your argument with other phrases or else the line loses meaning. But once you create that fluency in your music, it is indescribably rewarding, and I can tell you from experience. But I've also encountered huge challenges in composing The Grove. First and foremost, being that I've never played the upright bass before. I mean, scary instrument to even look at. And the drums in a samba style, I mean, come on. So the first way I set about to do this was to look through other jazz scores, other famous pieces, and look at the different parts. And I learned firsthand how drum notation works, and I will tell you that is the scariest thing you will ever look at. It is beyond complex. But you learn about that, and you also learn about the different ranges of the instruments. And then the other thing I did is listen to a lot of different music, and I'm telling you, a lot. So, for instance, while I'm doing my homework, I'll listen to Antonio Carlos Jobim, or Papa Luca, or Eddie Palmieri. And these kinds of people, they instill a kind of rhythm in me, so that when I compose, it comes out on the music. And I also get lots of ideas for soloing and many other things. So what I'm trying to express is that you don't reinvent the wheel when you create music. You use the wheel to make your own vehicle. But of course, performance is definitely the most exciting part of the whole process. I was incredibly lucky to be able to work with these incredibly talented musicians. When they sat down, the music comes alive out of the notes that you've written on the manuscript. And moreover, it has a life you can't anticipate. When we sit down, a conversation is formed between each member of the quartet. And it's really interesting because each person brings their own ideas to the music. So for me, this experience to record was really pivotal. But in conclusion, jazz is about collaboration. It can't exist without that give and take of melodic exchange. And in a world that's so dedicated to division and repudiation, jazz insists on communication. Jazz teaches you how to listen. It absorbs new ideas and pushes boundaries. Jazz never says no. And so if we can, as a community, learn this lesson, I think the open-mindedness and collaboration that jazz encourages can build amazing things. So take a listen. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm indebted to the musicians who helped me put this together, so a shout out to you. Thank you.